Welcome back for another video. It's the first double game week of the season up next. Liverpool and Everton playing twice in game week 24, so some extra points up for grabs. Who are the best players to buy this week? Liverpool and Everton aren't the only teams with players worth buying this week. Let's break it down nice and simple by position. So what are the double game week fixtures? Everton have got 2 home games, it's Leicester first and it's Liverpool. Liverpool got 2 away games, Bournemouth first and then Everton. So let's talk about the goalkeepers first. So Alisson comes out top of the game week 24 projections with 7.8 points, which of course means Pickford's in second with 6.8. I'm stating the obvious here, but there's no point buying a keeper this week unless it's one of these two, as they're well ahead of everyone else this week. If you're in a wildcard for example, then you could go for Alisson and Kepa as your 2 keepers. What's interesting is the next 5 isn't significantly better for Pickford over Raya. 20.1 points for Pickford, 19.5 for Raya. So is Raya to Pickford worth a transfer? Well, there's definite potential gains there. Arsenal have got City next, and there's a small chance that they blank in game week 29 as well. These are the projected blanks and their likelihoods for game week 29. So the likeliest blanks will be Newcastle, Palace, Villa and Liverpool with 49% chance. There's a 36% chance that it's Fulham and Spurs that blank instead of Villa and Liverpool. So basically only about a 15% chance that Arsenal actually blank in game week 29. They need to overcome the 2-0 deficit against Newcastle in the League Cup in the second leg. It's not impossible, it's unlikely. So yeah, right to Pickford's fine, just for that extra insurance against the blank and chasing a bit of upside with a double. But really, it's of more relevance to Alisson, who's very likely to blank in game week 29. They're 1-0 down to Spurs from the first leg in the League Cup, and they need to knock them out at Anfield, which does seem very plausible right now. The reason this is of particular relevance with the keepers is because if you buy Alisson and your backup keeper isn't number 1, then you're going to be forcing yourself another keeper transfer in game week 29. Fabianski was benched last match for West Ham. He's the most popular backup keeper in FPL. Free hitting in game week 29 is an option of course, however given it's a small blank game week for exactly 4 teams, it's not massively difficult to navigate. And in theory, if you can save yourself a free hit, there's more points to be had using it later. Alisson is an excellent buy though, and it is situational. Like if you've got 1 or 2 free transfers, then going for outfield Liverpool players might make more sense, because in that case you're not totally forced to sell all of them to field 11 players in game week 29, whereas Alisson potentially does force you a keeper transfer, otherwise you could be down to 10 players. These are the marginal calls in FPL that sometimes do reap rewards later on if you get the strategy right. So moving on to the defenders then, and of course just the doublers this week. It's Liverpool's back line and it's Everton's. So Trent's top with 8.4 points. If you haven't got him in your team, then he's got to be a priority. Assuming you've got Salah anyway, otherwise he's the bigger priority. Arguably the best defence in the league. 2.65 expected goal involvement is top of all defenders over the last 6 game weeks. And likewise over the season, 7.36 XGI ranks far better than any defender. There's always a bit of doubt over some players when there's a double game week, like do they play both games plus the next game week as well? Well, this double game week's fallen in a bit of a unique manager to your typical double game week. It's not like your Saturday first match, Wednesday final match, and then the next game week is the next weekend. Liverpool play against Bournemouth, and then they've got the League Cup after that against Spurs, and then they've got the FA Cup against Plymouth, which looks like the perfect opportunity for Slot to rest some key players. And then double game week 24 wraps up after that on the 12th of February for the Merseyside derby. Realistically, Trent was probably always going to play both games, even if it was going to be a Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday type thing. But it might be beneficial to the likes of Gakpo and Luis Diaz's minutes. The only downside is, of course, if something happens to a player in the League Cup or the FA Cup, then you're screwed. You basically can't do anything about it. So Van Dijk is second on the table, and I'd say he's the preferred pick over Robertson. He just looks less reliable for minutes with Tsimikas for competition. Konate is another one who could benefit from the scheduling, like Quansah and Van Dijk might be the centre-back pairing for that FA Cup game before the second double game week fixture. And Slot did say Konate is about ready to play 3 times a week again, so I think he's a really solid option for 5.2 mil. I'd rank him above Robertson even. So what about the Everton defenders then? Well, Young's been having a good season, but he's out of favour under Moyes seemingly. It's Tarkowski and then Mikalenko and then Branthwaite and then O'Brien that makes the table here. So if you've got the money, I think Tarkowski would actually be my pick. 2.61 XGI is more than the other Everton defenders, more than twice Mikalenko's actually. Better than double the minutes per expected goal involvement over Mikalenko as well. Realistically, you're hoping for a clean sheet against Leicester, maybe to get lucky off a set piece or a corner, which I think could be Branthwaite or Tarkowski of course. Final thoughts on the defenders then. Is doubling up on the Liverpool defence overkill? I would say absolutely not. Like, we've all got different teams, and it just makes more sense in many cases. Like, I'm looking at double Liverpool defence for my team, for example. I'll explain why in my team selection video on Wednesday as well, so make sure you are subscribed for that. You can't have them all in your team, so don't sweat it if you really want Gakpo but you can't fit him in. Just go for double defence instead, it's not the end of the world. It might even do better than Gakpo. On to the midfielders then. So Salah, of course, absolutely miles ahead of anyone this week, with 13.1 projected points, by far the highest of the season. If you have your triple captain still, do use it now. I would recommend it personally. Given the assistant manager chip's potential, in theory, if you've got both chips, well, you're definitely going to have your assistant manager chip. If you still got your triple captain, now makes sense, because there's going to be better runs of games to use the assistant manager chip later. Luis Diaz is second on the table, 8 projected points for him. It feels like a very overlooked pick right now, given Gakpo's recent form, but let's not forget, both of them have got 8 goals, 3 assists this season. And Luis Diaz is a midfielder, of course, so he's on 16 more points for the season. Double game weeks can be very unpredictable. Like, looking at it right now, you'd think, oh yeah, Gakpo, Salah and Trent, but it would be surprising if Luis Diaz outscores Gakpo, despite the way last match went. It wouldn't be surprising if Szoboszlai and McAllister came out of the double either with a good score, but that feels like a stretch too far for me, especially McAllister. They've both been too inconsistent from an FPL perspective to count on. Same with Doucouré, who actually makes the table here. Perhaps he'll be thrown further forward in DCL's absence, like how Dice used him at last season at times, but he's not got a single attack in return this season, so I'd avoid him. Amid all the double game week hype, Mbeumo is someone to strongly consider transferring in this week as well. He's got 17 returns and 23 starts, 14 goals, 3 assists, and he's home to Spurs next, who are beyond bare bones. Even Leicester just put 2 past them and 1. Vicario, Udogie, Romero, Van de Ven, Spence, Maddison, Johnson, Werner, Odegaard and Solanke all out last match, and Brentford play home against them as well. We should briefly talk about the Bournemouth trio as well. Dango, Semenyo and Kluivert, all absolutely smashing it recently, and they're all between 5 and 5.7 mil, so they're dirt cheap. Of course, it's not the best week to buy them because they've got Liverpool, unless it's funding you an upgrade elsewhere like Van Dijk, Trent, Gakpo, etc. From GW24 though, Bournemouth have got amazing fixtures, starting with Southampton, including, by the way, Brentford home in blank GW29. Moving on to the forwards next, and Gakpo tops the table this week with 7.8 points. Flavour of the month after that 16-point haul last game week, and he's got to be one of the best players to buy this week. 4.26 XGI over the last 6 matches, ranks 5th best in the league. We talked about buying Mbeumo before Spurs home. Well, just above Gakpo over the last 6 game weeks is Wissa with 4.32 XGI. Data tables here and other videos are from Scout, by the way. Use the link below if you want to get 40% off becoming a member. He's going massively under the radar, 10 goals, 3 assists and 19 stars. In fact, Brentford are the only team that have 2 players with 10 plus goals this season. And Mbeumo and Wissa have got incredible fixtures as well. It's Spurs home next, and then it's West Ham and Leicester away, and then it's Everton and Villa home. So clearly, Ndiaye, for a bit cheaper, is projected much more on Game Week 26, but obviously less than that over the next 5. He's on penalty duties in Calvert-Lewin's absence as well, assuming that he misses a double, which seems probable, only 5.4 mil. I would avoid Beto though, even with Calvert-Lewin injured. There are rumours that he's not in Moyes' plans, and he wants a new striker urgently before the window closes. So Haaland, maybe for the first time all season, completely drops off the table. And while we've got the double game week hype on going, there's an absolutely massive clash between Arsenal and Man City next game week. Maybe that lends some weight from going Gabriel to Trent or Van Dijk, for example. If you've got Haaland and not Trent or Gakpo, for example, then I would downgrade him to Gakpo and use that money to buy Trent as well and load up for the double game week. Or even Haaland to Ndiaye or Wissa and then a defender to Trent or Van Dijk if you haven't got either of them. Seems a bit mad going Haaland to Ndiaye, but the main takeaway from this video is to triple up on Liverpool if you can, unless you're going with the assistant manager chip, of course, in which case make sure you're doubled up. The doubles are hyped up for a reason. There is massive upside. It doesn't always go the way you want it to, but you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky in FPL. Thanks for watching and see you soon for the next one.